Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I brought both of the meditation books with me today. Are you guys excited? I love these Melody Beatty meditation books with me. So I did not film anything yesterday. Well, I filmed a vlog. I pre-filmed a vlog at like 1 o'clock in the morning going into Thanksgiving. So I was like, okay, today I want to get the weekend started on a good note, so let's read some meditations, shall we? We have yesterday and today to look in here and see what the meditations are about. I wonder if yesterday's meditation was about gratitude. So I saved these meditation books for video, so I don't I have like 5 or 6 that I read on my own every single day, but I saved these for video, so I don't know what the meditation was for yesterday. What is today? The 28th. Okay, so today is the 28th. Today's meditation is back to the steps. Okay, I don't love to do step-specific meditations over here because there's a lot of people that watch these videos that are not sober or not in recovery or in recovery by a 12-step way. We can trust ourselves, November 27th. Letting go of self-criticism. That was the one that I read last. We can trust ourselves. Okay, that's for yesterday. Let me look in Journey to the Heart. I actually haven't read in this one for a while. November 20th, oh, just pulled me to December. November 28th, bask in self-love. I think I want to bask in self-love today. Okay, yesterday, forgiveness isn't too much to ask. I think it's so interesting. Well, you know, Thanksgiving falls on a different date every year, doesn't it? So I wonder if maybe like the 24th, 25th. Oh, wait, 24th, the power of gratitude never wanes. I mean, I love discussing gratitude, but like I feel like that's kind of a go-to for the month of November and Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll read this one. Should I start with that one? Forgiveness isn't too much to ask. Oh, that might be a really good one. Maybe I should. Let's read Forgiveness Isn't Too Much to Ask first. I'm really leaning on this one. Okay, this is from November 27th. Forgiveness isn't too much to ask. Is your heart blocked? Are you experiencing a barricade you can't get around in a particular relationship? Forgiveness is a delicate, sometimes difficult subject, but once in a while, that's what we need to ask for. Part of being clear, and one of our powers, is the ability to identify and ask for what we need from others, from the universe, from God, even from ourselves. We may be extremely skilled at identifying when we need more time with someone, more money, more attention, or a different type of communication. But as proficient as we may have become at asking for some of what we need, we may still find it difficult to ask for forgiveness. It is one thing to tell a person we're sorry. It is another to be intimate and bold enough to recognize the damage that comes where forgiveness hasn't occurred. Being unforgiving can block the kindest and warmest hearts. It can destroy the most precious, beautiful, passionate spiritual relationship. It can keep guilt lingering in the air. It can cause people to go away from each other. Muster your forces, prepare yourself if you must, then take a risk, one of the greatest risks you'll be asked to take. Put your cards on the table. Say you're sorry, say it from the heart. Then don't get defensive, ruffle your feathers, or get mad. Ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness is not too much to ask for if forgiveness is what you need. I think it's an interesting meditation coming from the point of somebody needing forgiveness or asking for forgiveness. You know, it's interesting. I very rarely in my life have had people come to me and ask for forgiveness. I've had a lot of people that have stood their ground, you know, doubled down on what they did, stood their ground. I very rarely have had people come to me and ask for forgiveness. And the times that I have, I'm thinking about the very specific times I haven't had a problem granting somebody forgiveness. I think I've been able to put myself in their shoes, and that if they're willing to humble themselves enough, admit their faults. It's the same thing with like amends process and recovery. To me, there's, you know, I learned this from my dad, and I know a lot of people have heard this, but like my dad hated when I would say, especially before I got sober, I'm sorry to him. And he would say, when you say I'm sorry, what that means is forget what I just did. He goes, it's not really you taking a look at your behavior or taking any accountability for it. It's just like, just forget what I did. So ever since then, like I'm sorry it falls different for me. It just doesn't mean a lot to me. I think when I got sober, like I really understood his sentiment. That being said, I think there's a lot of people that just need to hear the words, I'm sorry. And I've learned that as well. That in this world, there's a lot of people that just need me to say I'm sorry. I don't think on the big stuff. I think on the big stuff, in my life, I've needed people to explain to me You know, like I had a friend of mine, this is years and years and years ago, that I just felt, it wasn't like they did me wrong or they did me dirty. They just exited my life. And I did not understand it at all. Like there was nothing, we never had a conversation. There was nothing preceding it or whatever. And years later, just wanted to enter back into my life like nothing had happened. I was so hurt. Like my husband to this day, like, is not a fan of this person. And is like, this person did you so wrong, but it's nobody that I've ever mentioned on video, so let's not go guessing. But anyway, he is still not a fan. He's like, I don't understand, like, this person hurt you at such a root core. Like, the worst thing ever was, I had no clue what it was about. I had no idea what I had done. To find out, I didn't do anything. And what they said to me later was, well, it really had nothing to do with you. It was just what I was going through at that time. Okay, but we're talking, this was 6 or 7, 8 years later that they came back and said this to me. If even a year later they would say, I'm sorry I distanced myself from you. I'm going through a lot of shit right now. I just need some space from everybody in my life. I would have understood that. Like, I'm an empathetic person that I can understand that people need space from people. But just to exit my life, not return phone calls, and then want to step back in when it's convenient for you, I'm very, to this day, with that relationship, I have forgiven them. But to this day, I'm still, and they've never asked for forgiveness. Forgiveness really isn't, I don't know that's necessarily for that person. It's more for me to be able to move through the pain. But, you know, I'm still very hesitant about that relationship. I don't share a lot of like interpersonal stuff with them, a lot of intimate stuff. I just don't. Like the relationship will probably never go back to what it was before. And that's okay. You know, my friend Tanya and I were just talking about this last night. It's like, it's interesting, like if you're a believer in a higher power, we were talking about like God showing us things in ways that maybe it wasn't what we expected, but thank you God for showing me that. Now I know, now I understand, you know? And you know, I was sharing with her this analogy that I use about like, when like blessings in disguise, or like when God teaches us lessons in different ways. And I was using this example of like when you like are really hurting for money and you're going through a really tough time and you're like, God, please help me. Just like send me some money. I don't know what to do financially. And then you get a bill for like $500. And I think our natural instinct on a spiritual level is to say, really, God? Like I'm struggling and you sent me a bill for $500? I've said this, I've used this story so many times in my vlog, because this is actually a story that did happen to me years ago. But then it's like, you look at your spending habits. You stop spending this, you stop spending that. You realize your needs and your wants are different. You pay the $500 bill off, and then you start saving even more money. And then a year later, you realize, oh my God, we can take that trip, or I can buy this coat that I want because I've saved money and I have more money now than I ever did before. God gave you what you wanted. Maybe just not, the lesson wasn't taught the way that you wanted it to be taught. That happens to me with people all the time. You know, that I'm like, God, give me a clear message on what I'm supposed to see with this person or universe, whatever, you know? And sometimes I am taught that in ways that hurt my feelings. Like, you know, I'm thinking that is not necessarily a prayer as it is a wish. Like, I'm hoping that God will show me that person will be super kind to me the next time, you know? Sometimes that's not what I'm shown. Sometimes that person comes to me and they're just a complete ass and they're rude and they're mean. And what God's showing me was your red flags and your instincts were correct. Keep your distance. Then it's my job to act on that, you know? I have asked people for forgiveness in my life. I've made amends to a lot of people in my life. I've had a lot of people that have made amends to me. I think that's part of growth. I think that's part of change. I don't want to hold on to resentment and hate in my heart. I just don't. But one of the things that I've had to learn is just because somebody forgives me or just because I forgive somebody else doesn't mean that they have to be a part of my life anymore. I don't have to be a part of their life. They don't have to be a part of my life. I can forgive somebody and say, but it's not just, will you forgive me? Yes, you're forgiven. To me, there needs to be a conversation. Can you explain to me what happened? Or I need to explain to them what was going on with me, or why I felt like what I did or said was appropriate at that time or whatever, and work through it. And I think that people deserve that. I feel like I deserve that. I feel like other people deserve that from me. And then I'm talking on a personal level, right? Like one-to-one person. And then once you've worked through that, maybe what you've decided is, I forgive you, but like, you know, this is so cheesy because it's from like The Hills, and it was like Elsie and, you know, what's her name? Heidi Montag. And she's like, can you forgive me? And Elsie said, yeah, I can forgive you, but I can't forget. And like, I think it's such a, I don't know why I always remember that one scene, but I think it's powerful because it's like, we live in a world where we think that forgiveness equals a clean slate. That forgiveness means I'm going to forget everything. We're good. Forgiveness means I understand what you did to me, or you understand what I did, and you can understand where I was at that time, and I acknowledge where I was at and that it was a shit move, and I've learned from that, and I've grown and I've changed, and I won't repeat that pattern today. But I might still not want you in my life. I might still not trust that. Or I might have grown and changed into a new version of myself too. And I don't want what that's about anymore. So yes, I forgive you, but I've also moved on. I've also moved through the pain to the other side where I don't even take chances at that anymore. I love the definition by Oprah of forgiveness, that forgiveness is accepting that what happened, happened. Not that what happened was okay. It's not saying that what happened to me was okay, or what you did to me was okay. Yeah, I forgive you, therefore what that means is what you did to me was okay. It's not that. It's acknowledging that I have no ability to go back in time and change what happened. What happened, happened. Accepting that. Not playing what if in my head. Accepting that what happened, happened. Now what am I going to do about it so I'm not held hostage to my past? I love that definition, because then what it says is that it's about me. Typically, like they talk about like drinking poison, expecting the other person to like, be hurt over it. I think that's a lot of it. Forgiveness for me and forgiving people. And it's not just like, oh, I forgive you. Like I have to really understand what somebody's motives were at the time, or what they did, or why they hurt me. And I need to hear like a genuine accountability from somebody. And I think people deserve that from me as well, And I want people to have that from me in my personal life so that we can continue to grow and change together, or they can say, you know what, like I don't want a relationship with you. But then when I see them on the street, I can say, hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see you too. And we keep on passing by. And I don't have to look over my shoulder and be like, oh my God, that's Judy Smith. You know what I mean? Like I want it cleaned up. And it's my job to clean up my side of the street. But I don't want to live with hatred and anger in my heart. And forgiveness is a clear direction there. I think when the book talks about people asking for time, I think she's talking about communicating to somebody if you need more time with them, you need money, whatever, communicating. But on another level, I think when somebody comes in and says, can you forgive me? You have every right to say, I might be able to, but I'm not there yet. Like, I need some time. A couple of my friends in my life have taught me that when they've gone through things with people. That's on your time, not their time. And then you can say, I'll let you know when I'm ready to have that conversation. But don't let somebody guilt trip you into you hearing their apology that maybe you're not ready to hear yet. Maybe you're still sitting in pain. Maybe it'll take you another 5 days, 5 months, 5 years. Maybe you won't ever get to that point where you're ready to hear the forgiveness or the apology. I hope not for you, because we're the ones that suffer. And when and you're sitting on the other end and you want somebody to forgive you, it feels a completely different way. And every single one of us, like, when I went into my making amends, I can remember thinking, like, what would it be like? And since then, I've received a lot of amends from people. So now I know. When you've sat on both sides of an apology, you know what you want from that person. You want to give the same thing to somebody else that's asking that from you. And it's two-sided. We've all done stuff that we owe apologies for in this world. And not just saying, I'm sorry. To me, that just, like, in recovery, we talk about that. Those words really are rather meaningless. It's really about taking a look at your behaviors and saying, this is what my behavior was at that time. It wasn't okay. I'm sorry I hurt you. You can say, I'm sorry I hurt you, and say, and this is what was going on with me. Let me tell you what I am aware of that I did to hurt you, and then asking the person at the end, am I leaving anything out? Because they might say, yeah, you're not aware of the fact that I stayed up every night worrying about our friendship, worrying about you. You didn't call me back. I was worried about you. Like, we have no idea sometimes. Sometimes we need people to inform us of how we acted, or we need to inform them of how they acted. But I believe that forgiveness is a way through grace. And it's also a release of pain for us, so we don't have to sit in that pain anymore. So I think it's a great meditation, and I'm going to end on that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you guys are having a fantastic beginning to your weekend. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow.